Hi everybody, and thank you very much for having us. We do thank CPP for inviting us to speak at the conference today. I'd also, as we are doing thank yous, like to thank you, Joe. You've been exceptional in working with us as presenters today, and I'm sure all other presenters in the room would agree. I have the pleasure of beginning our presentation today and also introducing you to Susan. Susan is my colleague and we've worked together at the Southport School now for 11 years. We're very happy to be here today and to share with you the journey that the school has taken with implementing MBTI. Just to give you a bit of a context, our school is on the Gold Coast in Queensland. I heard Queensland get paid out earlier, but we are from Queensland. We were sitting up the back, so that's okay. We weren't with you all. The school is a P-12 school with boys. It's an all-boys school, day boarding school with approximately 1,500 students and 250 staff. And that's including teaching staff as well as corporate staff, who we very much bring on our journey when we're looking to implement new programs into the school. Are there any other teachers in the room? Hands right up. Yep, okay, great. We don't feel as lonely anymore, thank you. So you may be thinking, well, why is the school here to speak with you today? And what we hope to share with you is a lot of our practical applications of MBTI, particularly with our new focus of using MBTI in a wellbeing realm, and to share how we've come to that decision and how we do use the MBTI tool as part of our understanding of self and others, and how we see that fitting under the umbrella of wellbeing. We were actually going to do a yoga session and a meditation session, but we cancelled that. So we're fortunate as we have the privilege to work with young people, and we have the privilege to work with the young people who will be working with you. And so I think it's important that you understand that young people know a lot, which you would know, and young people are coming through with these skills that you're all speaking about today that are part of your organisation. So hopefully when you receive young people into your workplace, that you receive really well-educated young people that are whole people, and hopefully will save you the cost on doing the MBTI. We're also here to share with you that we've been working with this theory and using type theory with our staff and our students, and are looking to move this into our community as of next year. And we've really tried to be innovative with our use of the tool. And we'll share with you the experiences that we've had in the classroom, the experiences that we've had placing this in a wellbeing framework, as well as Susan was introduced, the experiences that we have in working with our elite sporting teams on campus. Also, too, the reason why we are here, I'm still on that bandwagon, is that, like many of you, we're on a journey. And we've learnt a lot from hearing from you all today, and hope that you can take something away from our journey. So we're really about growing people in our organisation, and that's not just our students but our staff. And staff doesn't just mean teachers, staff means all staff on campus. So we wanted to share that with you today. So our presentation today will focus on 5 things. As teachers, we like to outline that. We like to outline to you that we as we've learnt about type over the time, that we see really quite strong relationships between type theory and the theories behind wellbeing, and we wanted to join the dots there on those two with you today. Then what we wanted to do today also is share a model with you that the school uses when the school is implementing new programs, and the model is very much around bringing the organisation together, discussing what we would like to do, but remembering that for any sort of change to occur, that change is ongoing and we never stop, and we're always looking for new ways to do that. We have a 4 C's model, so I've heard of 3 C's. We've got 1 extra today to share with you. We also want to share with you some practical examples of what we've done, so some examples of what we've done with our staff, and some feedback from our staff on how that's actually contributed to their wellbeing by using type theory and wellbeing theory together to contribute to overall staff wellbeing, as well as practical applications in teams. And Susan will share some really innovative ideas there on working with teams. And then we would like to also share how you may like to go about this in your organisations, but you're all doing more than us, so we probably can't tell you too much there. So we began our journey with the Myers-Briggs type indicator and understanding of Myers-Briggs in 2011. And the way that worked was we engaged as a school with CPP Asia Pacific at the time. Our headmaster is extremely innovative and wanted our boys to know about type and how type led to an understanding of self and others. So at that time in 2011, we worked with CPP around what this might look like in a school. Obviously, as you'd be aware, the instrument, from our perspective and from the organisation's perspective, should only be used at a certain age level, which we saw at year 10. And we started to explore the concept of beginning to use this in the classroom. From there, then, we took a focus on what does it look like in the classroom, because we thought, okay, well, we know this information, where are we going to use it? And the first place and the place that we spend the majority of our time is in the classroom. So we spent some time thinking about what do teachers need to know in the classroom about the boys in front of them? How do teachers end up knowing about type, and then how can that sort of marriage go together in a classroom and actually make some meaning? So we provided teachers with student permission and parent permission the preferences of each of the boys that they teach, and teachers also went through a profiling process so that they could understand their own type. And we really spent time allowing teachers to understand that there are a variety of different types in front of them, and not to teach specifically from their type, but to cater for all the types that were in the classroom. Now we continue to do that, and is that me? No. We continue to do that, and we continue to offer that to our teachers, but our journey of innovation has moved now into looking at the theory of well-being, and it was mentioned earlier today about positive psychology and the role that positive psychology plays in our understanding of well-being. And we can see some great synergy between Myers-Briggs and positive psychology. And as we've continued to learn, we really feel that they go together, and I'll show you how and why. So type theory and the Myers-Briggs type indicator, obviously, and this just comes out of the manuals, first page. It helps us, I didn't reference it, it helps us understand, I'm honest though, it helps us understand ourselves, it helps us understand our motivations, it helps us understand our strengths and our potential areas for growth. And that's what the tool is used for, and we've really bought into that philosophy, particularly in that second dot point there. Our learning into the area of positive psychology with the founder, Martin Seligman, has shown us that positive psychology wants us to do the same things too. Positive psychology wants us to have the tools to thrive. It wants us to have the tools to thrive in situations where we don't know what we're going to experience. And it wants us to focus on strengths and resources and the capacity of the person. And so the synergy between the two, as we've been trying to implement both programs sort of going like this, do a bit of this, do a bit of that, do a bit of this, do a bit of that, we've seen that they actually do come together. And as a school, we're focusing in now on the fact that we're wanting to grow a wellbeing community that uses type theory as one of its tools to be able to enact the theory of wellbeing. And I think that's been an amazing light bulb moment for us to see the two go together rather than side by side. So with all of that, that's all great, but we need a way to communicate that. And so the school really has an aim, a really direct aim on what we're hoping to do with the programs that we run that focus on type and wellbeing. So we want our community members, which are staff, students and parents, to develop positive relationships. We want them to develop resilience. We want them to have a positive disposition so that through life's challenges, they have the resources, the strength and the strategies to thrive and to flourish. And we see the theory of wellbeing and type theory sitting in under emotional strength with the focus on strengths as well as strategies. So that encapsulates where we fit type now into the way that we operate within the school. So like we're hearing many people say today, it's very difficult. It's particularly difficult in education where you do have a set curriculum and teachers see this as an add-on. How do I make this part of my day-to-day life when I'm teaching maths? How do I make this part of what I do when I've got the pressure of reporting? And so we've really needed to take a good step back and think, well, how are we going to implement this and have this implemented for the time when we're there and for the time when we're not there, so that it is part of the culture of the school. So we will share our 4Cs model. It's one extra C. The way the school has gone about doing this is we've been using this model of change. And any sort of new change that we're wanting to bring into a school community or into our school community, we go through this process. And we wanted to share this process with you today. So what it really means is that you have the internal expertise in your organisation, and although external organisations are highly valuable, if you're wanting something to stick, like we're wanting type theory and wellbeing theory to stick in our school, we have to empower the people who are there, and we have to bring them on board and learn from their internal expertise because they have it, and you're just tapping into the resource of that, and you're actually empowering them in doing so. So our first process of doing all of this has been always to bring people together to see what it would look like and what they think it would look like, rather than impose over the top. The second aspect here then is to create. So we've actually got to do something. We can't come together and have a nice time and that's it. So we've spent a lot of time then thinking, well, what do we do that's actually authentic to us? And what does it mean in our school? And what would it mean if we were to implement something so that it is actually authentic, and it is because staff have bought into it and provided their expertise. The tricky bit, which I've been hearing today when we go to roll something out, is, well, how do you do it, and how do you ensure that people actually connect with it, and what are the strategies that you use to actually get people to own this themselves and want to work from these frameworks? So connecting with the community and sharing that vision is extremely important. And the last aspect here is that we want some change. We don't want to be working for a year on trying to develop something and then everybody just put their hands up and go, no, don't want to do that. And we also want to hear the feedback the other way. So we don't want to think that we've always got it right. So we want to remain open, we want to remain responsive, and we do want to change. And it's very much why, or one of the reasons why, we have brought type theory and wellbeing theory together, because we're being responsive to what we've noticed and what we're learning and what that looks like for us. So just a quick run through, and I won't take too long. When we come together to start to think about our ideas, we form what's called a research and implementation group, and that group is charged to find out everything that they can know. No one knows the answers at that point, and we want to be able to learn. And so the group come together, and when we started working with MBTI, that involved working with CPP and bringing together all the information that we could in this area, and setting out responsibilities, setting out aims, and then getting that group of people to continue to learn and professionally learn in these areas. Create means actually looking at what you do already. Don't ever underestimate, which I'm sure you don't, the power of what's already going on, because what you'll be able to find is that a lot of it already happens, and it's just about having to look across that and then looking to see what the gaps are. So when we create, we always do that. We always honour the fact that things are already happening, and we're looking to put in place some more training and developing a strategy then and focus testing that strategy. So when we've gone about implementing MBTI at the Southport School, it's been very much around putting something together and then getting other people to see the experience of it before we actually roll it out, so that it doesn't end up, as you'd imagine, a disaster. Then when we do that, we honour the fact that we need to train our staff, and we're using new frameworks, so we need to provide the opportunity for our staff to understand. So our work with MBTI has been very much around training our staff in what it means, providing all of our staff the opportunity to be profiled, and then ongoing training of those staff to see new applications as we learn them. Obviously, MBTI, for example, as well as positive psychology, do provide you with a common language, and that's really useful to be able to use that language. We have, in the past, even worked on allowing things to develop organically first. So what we mean by that is, rather than enforcing something for staff to do, we allow them to explore first. And we found that the buy-in of that has been incredible, that if you allow staff to actually experience something and find out and explore, that it does end up having more of an impact. Then lastly, we want change, and we're doing these things so that we can enhance the well-being of our staff, we can enhance the well-being of our students and community members, while also not assuming that it's done and that we need to keep our focus on that. So what does it look like for us? I'll share with you what it's looked like for our staff, and Susan will share with you an example of what it looks like for our boys that we teach and some of the innovative ideas. I don't know if anyone has a QR reader on their phone, but if you do, you can look up these 2 QR codes. I'm sure this will get sent out. I'm not sure which one's which. One of them, hopefully, goes to the school's website, where you can see our focus on MBTI, and you can see our focus on wellbeing and what that means for us. And then the second code there goes to one of our resources that we use, which is a stress management tool. And our stress management tool is based on type preferences and how individuals who are in stressful situations, what that may look like for them, and then how they come out of those stressful situations and return to wellness. So we're always looking for new ways to use type. Some of the examples that you'll see down the side is that we have profiled our staff and our students. Since 2011, we've profiled 800 students and provided those students with the experience of understanding type and using type within the classroom with their teachers and the language within teams and so on. We have a learning preferences framework, which is where we've used information in the classroom. The teacher has catered for diverse learning styles in the classroom. As you'll hear from Susan, very much a focus around team building with boys and how do teams work and how do teams understand each other. And Susan's worked on some very innovative ideas there by listening to what coaches need on our campus. And as I've mentioned, a real focus in our wellbeing strategy is that when we talk to staff about their profiling, that their profiling is about them understanding themselves so that they can understand others. And we do a lot of activities with staff to unpack that. But our stress management tool obviously is one resource that the school offers our staff to be able to engage with that and flourish. And we've also embedded MBTI into our leadership programs in the schools. So when our leaders train, they train from understanding type, and those boys will then understand how to work in a leadership capacity with others. Down the, I don't know what side that is to you, right-hand side. Down the right-hand side, here are what our staff have said. We've surveyed staff over the time of using type and using type theory together. And staff have actually said it's had a positive change to the school environment. We have some statistics in a minute. That it's increased their engagement at work by understanding themselves, working well with others, and the school focusing on staff wellbeing. It's improved relationships, it's strengthened their understanding of their own values, and it's enhanced their goal setting. So we're quite fortunate where we work. We work in a very good school where the majority of our staff are happy working at the school, and we do measures over annually where we get to see staff satisfaction levels, and we get to see any areas that staff believe the school needs to improve. So when we've taken this next measure around, well, how has our focus on wellbeing as a school been important for you? We've actually seen some positive responses. So coming off of I know they don't look high, but wait for me. Coming off of a good base. We're already coming off of a good base in our organisation. That staff believe that the Wellbeing program, where we've used type as a tool for staff understanding of self and others, 64% have actually said that it's improved their engagement in the workplace. And for us, if 1% said that it has improved, we're satisfied with that. That doesn't mean that the other 36% said it's devalued them or it's made them less engaged. And we actually had no staff say that it's made them less engaged. We're just trying to measure by how much. 60% of the staff have said that it's improved the school culture, coming off of a good base. 58% have said that it's improved their relationship with students and staff by understanding themselves and others, which type allows us to. And then 56% have said, well, look, it's actually improved my immediate work environment with the people that I work with. So we're proud of seeing those early benefits of bringing type and wellbeing together, which has really been across 2015, and then measuring how that's impacted our staff. I'd like to pass over to Susan, who'll share some exciting work with our boys.
Which is the right way up.
Oh.
Yeah. Hey, how's it going? I bought into the Myers-Briggs when I read that the ladies were getting it together because of world peace, and as my personality type, I was like, well, this is good, we can do this. I just had a thought earlier, I was thinking if the world was broken up into type, who would be fighting? I don't know, I just thought that. Anyway, so if we were to look at specifically what it is that I've been doing, you know, we were given this tool by the principal and he just said, do whatever you want. So my son was going through the school at the time and he was part of the elite basketball team, and the coaches from all the different teams sort of started talking to me and asking me, you know, how could this be useful? Particularly the basketball coach, who I've actually got a bit of footage of him talking about, and you'd be amazed at how eloquent he is on this topic, because we've been doing it for a few years now. Now the coaches came to me and said those are the 3 things that they want to improve. Team dynamic, decision making, dealing with stress. And we're talking about teams, so really high level sporting teams. So, you know, obviously understanding each other better is you know, we thought going to improve the results for the teams. So we didn't know. I started doing some research and there was absolutely nothing out there on actual sporting teams that I could hook on to use for a practical example with the teams. So I saw that CCP Asia Pacific had a course on coaches and teams. Now, I didn't read the blurb, but I went to the course and found it had nothing to do with sporting teams or coaches of teams. But it was a really good course, so thank you. So anyway, after I went to the course and came away and decided that I really did have to come up with it myself, I kept dealing with this basketball coach. He kept asking me, there's got to be more that we can use this for. So the sorts of things that we did was, we had a spreadsheet that put together a little profile of the team in this regard, and I've separated it up. This is specific to this year's team, and I've been doing this for a few years now. But it was, you know, what do you do with that bit of information? That's all I had. So I'd sit down with the coach and we'd look at that and go, okay, what does this mean? And then the sessions would start and I would come in and we profiled the teams and started talking about the whole thing and talking with the coaches, talking with the managers, and we sort of started working on things like, okay, well, if you're talking to the whole team, have a look at the whole team profile now. You can see what that is there. It's external, EF, what do we got there? I can't read it, but anyway, you can see what I'm talking about. Every year we had that. Now, that bit of information was useful, but it wasn't really helping a lot, and what the coach wanted from me was a quick reference guide. So I was like, a quick reference guide, well, I didn't even know where to start because nothing exists. So I've been thinking about this for years because he really pesters me constantly, you've got no idea. And it's the only reason I'm still going is because he just won't leave me alone. So anyway, what happened was we put, wrong way. I gave him a quick reference guide, and that's the thing I came up with. Now there was the 4 dichotomies, and I gave him a page on each dichotomy. So can you imagine standing at the basketball game going, oh, hang on, how do I talk to this guy? Because there's so many things about this that can help a coach and help team members understand each other and how they'll react. And on top of this, what we've started to discover was, you know, on top of personality type, there was the way people deal with the chemicals that course through your body during a game. And just seeing, you know, because this is all we had to start with. Seeing, okay, these two guys are the same personality type. How come this guy has to be taken off the court if something goes wrong? So we started to see all the differences between even people within the same type. And it was how they dealt with adrenaline, how they deal with coffee, how they deal with, whatever chemicals they put into their bodies. We're talking teenagers, 2015. So on top of personality type, you've got all the other elements. So what I did was kept talking to the coach. Now I'll show you a little clip. This is what we were at before our next step. And it's not the school burning. That's not what I want. It wasn't until I saw it big I realised that that's pretty...
The Myers-Briggs program has assisted us as we've developed over the last 3 or 4 years in our basketball program. It gives us an opportunity to examine how our players best receive information on the court in developing their skills and the strategic side of our basketball program on the court. It's important from us, from the coach's point of view, to understand whether our players require a bigger picture in terms of their information, or do they react better to more individual detail. It's a work in progress, and I think we've had some success with that over the last 3 or 4 years in developing that within our program. I think the important thing is that the players also need to know how different some of their teammates may be and how they react. So we develop a certain tolerance within our program for each other. And from a coach's point of view, it's important for our players to understand what my profile is and our coaching staff profile is, so they understand both ways in our program how we deliver. One of my players here is Isaiah Richardson. Now, Isaiah comes to us and in the last 2 years has been in our program. We've got to appreciate with Isaiah through the Myers-Briggs program that he is a feeling type of player. He feels empathy towards his teammate and collectively how we perform, and he encourages and supports his teammates whenever it's needed on the floor, in practice or in game situations. I think it's important also from Isaiah's point of view that he understands from the coach's point of view what the coaches are trying to develop, and he has a more appreciation of how we deliver that and where it's coming from, in the fact that we are honest with the players, we are a reliable bunch that they can rely on to assist them to develop their skills as best they can.
Over the course of the 2 years, Myers-Briggs has really helped me understand Dave, because understanding how people work in certain situations to get through good wins, and really helped me here.
So the biggest thing, and I will be perfectly honest with you, Dave, the coach, said to me, I make the boys cry. I want to stop making them cry. No one cries anymore, so I would say that's progress. So there you go, proof in the pudding. Yeah, thank you very much. No crying. And it is, you think these big, tough athletes, but it's so important to them to be able to give the information properly for them, to be able to quickly tell them what they need to hear to get them back on working at their, operating at their best capacity is really valuable information, and it's really starting to kick in. So I still had this problem. Dave's still nagging me. I want the quick reference. There's pages, they're stupid, So what I don't know. So I thought, okay, let's colour code. Now, what I did was, before I got to the colour coding, I thought, look, all right, I don't know. There's nothing out there telling me what to do. I went back to the primary source. I went back to the profiling sheet, and I went, what have we got here that can help us? So it's got that whole little bit where it tells you what number you are, which is where I came up with the spectrum of colour. And I'll give the example of my personality type next, and you'll see there's a very big difference between, a really high-level I and someone that's somewhere between the two. And that makes a really big difference to a coach with individuals, and each dichotomy is, representing a different thing about that person, which in different circumstances within a game is obviously valuable at different times. So what I needed to do was get Dave to understand the dichotomies, so that when he looked at this next step, so they're the dichotomies, I said, all right, this is what you're going to get. This is what I'm going to give you. That's what the 4 dichotomies do. This is straight out of the book. And I thought what I can do is I can give you colour-coded letters. So I started going through, and this from now on is how we're going to profile the kids. Next year when we do the whole grade 10 cohort, we're going to colour code. So you can tell if someone's a cool I, I'm a cool I. I'm a red hot N. You can see where this is going, right? I'm a green T. And my P is red hot. And in a staff meeting, you know, that was kind of funny. I won't even go there, you've probably all heard the jokes. Anyway, when you look at that, that's a really valuable piece of information that can give the coach a lot of information at one glance. So this is where we're going next. So this is, you know, it's different for every purpose. Every person that comes to us and says, can you develop us a program, we have to go back and do exactly the same thing. But I wanted to show you an example of what we do and how we go about it. They give us a problem and we solve it somehow. And that's what we've come up with. And it's taken 4 years to get to this point, and there's no more crying, and there's quick reference guides, and we still haven't stopped. We've got a lot more yet to do. So that's it so far.
Just lastly and really quickly, what we wanted to share with you is just 2 quick messages around if you're looking at type and looking at wellbeing theory, that there is some really good synergy there, and the exploration you can do in that area around Seligman's work in positive psych as well as the work in type do go together and fit quite nicely. So if you're at a stage where you're wondering how you're going to use type where you work or with the people that you work with, we've found through our exploration and what we've been doing that that's the best fit for us, and that's the focus that we're taking, that we're using type as a tool for understanding, which then links to wellbeing. And secondly, we'd just like to encourage obviously that the fact that if you're looking for change, change will change. And if you're wanting to make change, you've got to be responsive to change. So we've never sort of sat around thinking that we're done. Dave hasn't let Susan feel like she's done. Our teachers don't let us feel like that we're done, and it needs to keep evolving. And so we really encourage you to work with the people that you do work with and find new places to embed type into your organisations. Thank you.